was fascinating.
Fascinating.
It was fascinating.
Yeah. No,
yes. Yes.
All right, Justin, any questions on the lineup?
No, I think we should be good.
All right. And Sarah, or no, Roger, sorry. You appear to be editing line 23. I don't know if you realize that. I think you just haven't pressed enter, but I didn't know if you've made any changes.
Line 23. Yep. Is that me?
Let me see. It's if I'm in here as have such a good day, it's possible that it's me. No, it's Roger.
No.
That's Roger Chang.
Yeah, but one of my oh wait, this one.
Well, it also looks like somebody changed the background. Oh no, it's fine.
No, the gray background meant someone was editing it.
Got it.
Also, now you're editing it. Now you're editing line 23, column E.
I'm not editing anything.
I think something's going on, like where you're clicking into a
media conspiracy
without meaning to.
We know you're doing it.
Conspiracy.
Here, how's that?
Yeah, now you're not. Now you're fine.
Now everything.
And the only reason I even brought it up is I didn't know if you like fixed a typo or found something, and wanted to make sure that was reflected.
I was going to make it wrong. All of it wrong.
Because it's a media conspiracy.
That's the great thing about conspiracies. You can never prove them wrong.
Or can you?
Well, you can, but if someone wants to believe the conspiracy, they're like, I reject your really good argument.
Well, I mean, conspiracies like...
because you're in on the conspiracy at that point, right?
Yeah, you'd say anything.
Yeah, that's what they want you to think. Yeah.
Come on. Oh, come on. What is with this webpage? Just stay.
It's a conspiracy. That's what I think.
I have a family member that believes tilapia are genetically engineered fish without bones.
That's an interesting one. Okay. Well, wait a second. If I buy tilapia at Whole Foods later, will there not be bones?
Well, don't they just sell it as a fillet?
I don't really buy tilapia that much.
Go to the grocery store. Tell them you want a tilapia with bones. They will not be able to give you one.
Is it because the bones are so soft that like
they've been genetically engineered out? That's why, Sarah.
But the whole thing
but okay.
Tilapia because it's a farmed fish.
But logic.
But like reason. That's being like the grapes you're eating have been genetically engineered not to have seeds, and you're like, but that's better.
You're like, yeah, actually,
so like, why is that a secret?
That's true.
I'm like, high five the scientists.
I think tilapia are not genetically engineered not to have bones. I don't think that's true.
They're just bred in giant tanks because wild tilapia don't get big enough
tanks.
My grandma used to. When we would visit her at her retirement center for Sunday brunches, tilapia was often the main course. I don't know what that says about anything. Doesn't have anything to do with conspiracy theories, but that's where I ate most of the tilapia I've eaten in my life. And it was pretty good.
It is a good fish.
Yeah.
It's a good fish. The problem is when you farm it, you don't necessarily give it the same variety of diet that it would have in the wild, so it lacks a lot of the beneficial omega-3s and stuff.
You could say that about salmon and all the
salmon is actually true. That is true of all fish.
I don't want to hear anything. Okay,
not Sam,
not today.
Salmon.
He's in a mood. Okay,
all right. Let's go with Sarah reading the pre-roll today.
Let's do it.
Yay. Here we go. 3, 2.
Thanks to everyone who supports Daily Tech News Show directly. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, July 16th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And back at Studio Feline, where I belong, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Oakland, California, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And in the beautiful valley above us, our producer, Roger Chang.
I'm to the side of you, but it's still great to be here nonetheless.
I was going to say the valley below, but it's really the valley to the north.
It's valley above and also over that way. Let's start today's show with a few tech things you should know.
Bloomberg reports that Apple lost 3 executives in India and is restructuring its India sales team. Apple's market share for iPhones in India is stuck in the single digits, unable to compete with Samsung and Xiaomi that have the lion's share.
Uber wants to make pickup times easier to rely on with guaranteed pickup windows, including $10 credits if your driver is late, and pre-written messages drivers can send you, such as "be right there" or "I've arrived." Uber's also introducing Spotlight. Your ride gets assigned a color so you can hold it up on your phone and help find your driver in a dense area, such as an airport.
Yeah, Uber's had the lights themselves, but you haven't been able to have a similar light. So there you go. According to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Jeff Bezos is now the richest person who ever lived.
Oh, congrats, Jeff.
It couldn't happen to a richer guy. Bezos is estimated to be worth $150 billion. That's about $55 billion more than Bill Gates right now. And that $150 billion is also worth more than Gates was in 1999, which was the previous top mark in inflation adjusted worth until now.
Man, how weird does it have to be that you had to wait this long to even be the richest guy in your own town? Because they're both
that's a really good, in the same metro area. Yeah. Also, I mean, who's doing it wrong living in New York and London and Berlin and Tokyo and Beijing?
Well, because the cost of living is higher, Tom. Exactly. Move to Seattle, your dollar goes a little farther, apparently.
All right, let's talk a little more about rumored Samsung phones, Justin.
TF International Securities analyst Ming-Chi Kuo says that Samsung is planning 3 new models of the Samsung Galaxy S10 in 2019. Kuo believes that there will be models with 5.8-inch, 6.1-inch, and 6.4-inch screens. The larger models will supposedly have an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner built into the display. The smaller model will have it on the side. There is currently a sensor on the back for the Samsung Galaxies.
Yeah, the S9 currently has the sensor on the back. So 2 things. One is Ming-Chi Kuo does do rumors for non-Apple products.
I know. I was like, do my eyes deceive me?
Yeah, that's part of his new gig at TF International Securities. Also, Ming-Chi Kuo, if you're not familiar, very good at reading the supply lines. His analyst reports are meant for the supply chain industry. But because he's really good at reading that, he's able to tell what a lot of these final products will be, and he has very good accuracy. But I think the thing that is the most interesting out of this is the idea that Samsung would double down on the fingerprint scanner when Apple is very much moving towards saying fingerprint scanner, that's old news. Facial ID will be so good that it'll be easier. Whereas Samsung has iris recognition. They have some facial scanning technology, but they're thinking they can differentiate themselves by saying, we know a lot of you don't like the idea of the Face ID, so we'll do the fingerprint instead.
Well, I think also price point's the big thing there too. If they can continue to commoditize fingerprint scanners and put them on lesser priced feature or lesser, a cheaper version of it, then that's something that's I think exciting.
Well, yeah, and Kuo did say that he thought in 2019 that the A series phones might get this in-display scanner as well. So that's a great point.
What's better, ultrasonic or supersonic?
Well, I don't want my phone to go supersonic because that means it's moving away from me faster than I can catch it.
I mean, on the tier of sonics.
I would prefer it to be semisonic and closing time for the competition.
Oh, semisonic. I forgot about them. Well, we have a new champion, everybody. Let's talk about Robo Race. Their autonomous car has become the first to complete the hill climb at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, which I had not heard about before today, but it sounds like a lot of fun. The hill is a 300-foot gradual climb, narrow hay and brick-lined passages along the way. A Siemens autonomous Ford Mustang also completed the course. However, that car had several interventions from a human safety driver. So Robo Race, congratulations.
Man, it feels like the Goodwood Festival of Speed happens earlier every year, doesn't it?
Okay, you guys, this is definitely one of those situations where I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about the Goodwood Festival of Speed, but every single person out there listening right now who does is like, what are you idiots? You've never heard of the Goodwood Festival of Speed? It's been going on since 1993. It's iconic. It's done in West Sussex, England. Its owner, Charles Gordon Lennox, is the 11th Duke of Richmond, and he rode in one of these autonomous cars. What are you guys, idiots? That's what I'm imagining someone's writing towards.
The short answer, yes. Long answer, let's go next year.
Seriously.
Like a lot of fun.
Let's cover this. No, it's a festival that's been going on for a long time, and it does a lot of cool stuff from what I've gathered now that I've looked into it. But this hill is hard for human drivers. So getting an autonomous car to do it at all is pretty impressive. It's a nice challenge to complete. Although, yet, as we mentioned, the Siemens Mustang couldn't do it on its own. Even the Robo Race car did it real slow. Like, it's just kind of puttering along.
But look, I mean, I think these are the kinds of stories that we are going to continue to see as autonomous driving becomes more and more of a reality. And passing these tests is a huge step forward, not only for the tech, but also for the understanding of it, because there have been peaks and valleys to us understanding exactly where autonomous driving is going to fit into our daily lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, a 300-foot gradual climb, it's like, the closest thing I can think of is certain hills in San Francisco where you're like, as a driver, you're like, is this going to work? Am I going to get to the top of the hill, or going the other way as well is, sort of terrifying. So I can see where there are practical applications to a car being able to tackle this.
Yeah, it's a proof of something.
Yeah.
Proof of technology or skill.
Yeah.
Roku introduced its Roku TV wireless speakers. Wireless speakers that they say will be in sync because you can only use it with the Roku TV, not the Roku boxes or the sticks. The speakers connect to the Roku powered TV using the Wi-Fi powered Roku Connect platform. We talked about that at CES. They announced it, and it's actually shipping. A CES announcement is actually shipping. That's actually the biggest news here. No, not really. The speakers also have Bluetooth, so you can play music from like your phone or your tablet. Speakers come with the Roku TV voice remote, which has limited voice activations. You press a button and you can say, play, pause, rewind, etc. And a square Roku touch remote. The idea is you keep that one on the coffee table and you can just hit play or pause easily there. Customers who pre-order the speakers now get them at $150 until next week, July 24th. After that, you can pre-order them at a discount and get them for $180 until October 15th. That's when they start shipping. Once they start shipping, they'll be $200 for everybody. But wireless speakers, granted, these are probably not going to be the best quality sounding speakers you could buy, but they're easy setup. You press a button. If you've got the Roku TV and the Roku speakers, they find each other and boom, Bob's your uncle.
So an interesting play here. Obviously, we have seen no shortage of ways to capitalize on the smart speaker market.
Not a smart speaker.
Well, sure. But this is its own. Basically, it's taking the idea that, all right, well, what is cool about those smart speakers, that you can put them anywhere, and that you want to angle, like, okay, well, I can yell from these various places and it can hear it, right? This is saying, let's do dirt dumb surround sound. Let's do dirt dumb anything.
Wireless. The big key here is wireless. You won't have to plug stuff in and run wires. That's the big attractive feature.
Yeah, exactly. And that you can now angle exactly how you want. It's not the cost of surround sound. It's not the installation of surround sound, but you can have that feeling fairly cheap. That's a smart idea if you already have a Roku TV.
Yeah, and you don't care too much. You're not an audiophile. I don't want to say you don't care too much about sound, but you just want something that sounds a little better than your TV speakers, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and if you have smart speakers, then it's some other device that you also have alongside this, because there's only so many speakers most of us want, hanging around. I would prefer to have the smart speaker that can then hook into my home entertainment system. But again, the options that I have right now, even though they vary in quality and some are higher quality, not wireless. So that is a good selling point.
Skype version 8.0 is launching, bringing mobile redesign to desktop. Skype 8 includes 1080p HD video and screen sharing, as well as new chat and file sharing features. Skype 7 will no longer function after September 1st. And later this summer, Skype will add end-to-end encryption to audio calls, text messages, and shared files. And Microsoft will add call recording to Skype across Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and Linux. All members of the call are notified as recording begins, and audio, video, and share screens are all included in the recording. The feature will start rolling out at the end of July. Tom, another universally praised move by Skype.
Nobody likes to praise Skype, I know, but building in call recording, something that certainly podcasters and a lot of other people have wanted for a long time. I mean, it's been 15 years of Skype and people using, hot recorder for VoIP and audio hijack, and Skype just never built it in. Now it's finally built in. Is it too little, too late? I don't know. But the fact that it's doing video, the fact that they're now bringing in HD into it, I mean, none of these are bad updates for Skype. The question is, Skype usership is kind of plateauing because people are learning to use other things instead, from FaceTime to Discord and more.
The big thing that I've seen Sturm and Drung about is the fact that older versions will stop working.
Yeah, but that's not new. They've been doing that for a while, where they're like, nope, your older version is working. What's new here is on the day of the new one, they announced the old one will stop working really soon.
Yes.
But they're trying to get people used to that idea of like, nope, you can't go to oldapps.com and just keep using your favorite version of Skype.
Yeah.
Well, somebody who has to occasionally use Skype for a variety of, like remote interviews where you record your audio locally and I do, and then we mess with it later. It's cumbersome. I would love if this feature worked really well and it didn't have kind of that compressed sound that you get on Skype, which you can usually bypass if you have local copies. So we don't use Skype on this show, but I suppose
that's actually an interesting question of whether or not their call recording will be recordings locally. I mean, if it is central and everybody's on Skype, I mean, you could theoretically have everything local.
Yeah, it's a cloud recording, according to what I've read. So that you're getting the best version of everybody. So
if that's the case, that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, it works like that. Or if it's really not the best local version, but the best cloud version, who knows? But yeah, get used to it, folks. Running old apps is a bad idea. It always has been in a world where security moves fast, because you need security updates, and you can't expect companies to continue to support security patches for decades. So we're going to have fewer and fewer opportunities to use old software, and it's risky to do so anyway.
Well, we've actually come across, there have been a few folks who've, had some issues with iTunes with our show lately. And it's like, well, what version are you running? Oh, a really old one.
Yeah.
Well,
and since
more and more.
I want to hasten to say that does not inform my attitude here. My attitude towards you is it should still work. You should still be able to get our show. But it separately, maybe, not the most secure thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, Pinterest is spinning out Instapaper as a separate company. Pinterest acquired the Read It Later bookmarking service 2 years ago, although Instagram has been, had a storied career of its own. Instapaper not only lets you read articles later, but also save them for offline viewing and then even email them to the Kindle. Marco Arment, formerly of Tumblr, sold Instapaper, which he started, to BetaWorks, which also bought Dig, if we're keeping score, back in 2013. Wow. It went independent again for a while before Pinterest acquired it. The same team of developers has been running it through all of this. Now the company, once again, is independent. Instapaper has been offline in Europe since May. That's due to the need to comply with GDPR.
So the key here is that the developers who've been running it will now own it. Like, they're running it. They didn't sell it to somebody else this time. And it's the same people who've been running it since Arment sold it. So yeah. So they're trying to calm people down who are like, hold on, what about privacy? It's like, hey, we're the same developers, same servers and everything. We're just not part of Pinterest anymore. I'm curious if this is going to survive, though. It feels like Pinterest wanted to get rid of it because it didn't want to do the work to comply with GDPR, and there's not enough usage of it.
Well, and it's an interesting space that, the features for which have been kind of built into a lot of the devices that, it was once most useful for. So.
Yeah, I mean, browsers do a lot of what Instapaper was, back in the day, it was like, this is the way to go. I used it constantly. And again, I used it a lot more when I used an iPad more regularly because I was reading a lot more longer form content off of my desktop. But it's a great product. But yeah, like you mentioned, Justin, the features were, lots of other companies were like, oh, well, yeah, of course, that's a great idea. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
I want to put it out there to the audience. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. People tend to get their news from streaming sources, and by streaming, I don't mean streaming video. Like, I just read Twitter. I just look at Facebook. They don't save articles to read like you used to. And with internet connectivity becoming more and more pervasive, there's not a need to read things offline like there used to be. So I'm curious if there are people out there who still use either Instapaper or Pocket or any of these services. And if so, why do you still need to use them now? And why do you think other people have moved away from them? Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, interesting story in the Atlantic today about many of Instagram's biggest accounts, particularly meme-related accounts, locking their accounts away from the public in order to get more followers. Let me explain how it looks. 8 million followers. Couples Note, 8.2 million. Greater Comedy, 5.3 million. The list goes on. They have all become private Instagram accounts. That means you can't see the pictures unless you're a follower. And to become a follower, you have to request approval to be followed. Now, granted, these accounts are approving anybody who asks, but they're making you go through the process of requesting approval, because it means when a follower of their account shares a photo in a direct message or a group chat, the other friends who might not be followers won't see the meme. And that makes them want to follow the Instagram account so they can see what the big deal is. It also means that these new accounts don't get featured on Instagram's Explore page, but the private meme pages have been seeing an increase in followers as a result. In other words, we get more followers from folks in group chat realizing, oh, I need to follow them to see the meme, than we get from being featured on Instagram's own Explore page. In fact, one account in this Atlantic article says they went from 10,000 a day to 100,000 a day just by going private. Now, there's some benefits and detractions to this, but Sarah, I know this caught your eye as well. It's sort of creating a walled garden in order to increase interest.
Yeah. And this is, I have several friend groups on Instagram where, we're all sending each other memes. A meme is, it's something, we all know what a meme is. And half the time someone will send something and be like, lol, haha, in the caption. And the rest of us are like, private account. No one saw that. And so then that person has to go back, take a screenshot, and then send it again. So you can get around these things, but it does, you notice that their account, because you kind of go in and go, why is it private? That seems like a cool exclusive club I want to be in. Go ahead and follow. Another thing about this is, yes, you have to request to follow, and then you're granted access, and then you're in. But if you want to unfollow an account, and a lot of these meme accounts say, there's sort of like this added incentive to do it, because there's one more step part of unfollowing an account, because Instagram will say, just so you know, you're going to have to be reaccepted again if you unfollow. You really want to do that? And so people might go, well, I guess I'll just keep following. So it is a way to retain followers as much as it is a way to gain followers, even though it's sort of reverse psychology.
This is an outgrowth of one of my favorite lessons that Instagram taught me. And I think it is very instructive of the difference between folks who grew up in a world without the internet and people who have grown up with it. Specifically, that as the internet became a thing for many of us, the idea was always infinite space. That was the most fascinating thing. And so Flickr was great. Photos, all my photos, I can now have them categorized, and every photo I ever take will be there. And then Instagram seems to have been more about scarcity. And you've seen these trends of younger users that will only keep 7 pictures on their Instagram account at all time. They'll be deleting photos. And that's totally contrary to everything that I've always known. It's like, no. One day I'm going to want to look at that photo 30 years from now, and I need them all saved in pristine quality. And that's what this is to me about, that they're even their own product for exposure is not as interesting as scarcity.
There's also there is the practice of going private and going public and sort of going back and forth, because maybe there's a racy photo that gets slipped in there. But if you're private, Instagram's not going to flag you the way that you're public. But as far as the followers go, if you have enough of an audience, you can walk that line as well. The Atlantic article that goes into a lot of these accounts. I don't follow all the accounts that were mentioned, even though they have huge amounts of followers. But I follow a few of them, and I couldn't even really tell you why. But you always imagine this as like some guy who just has a lot of time on his hands, loves memes, and just happened to, strike it rich on Instagram. And it's like most of these are run by firms who run various Instagram accounts with lots of followers, and the whole thing is to occasionally dip something in there that's for sale, and so people are actually making money off of that. That's also a part of this too.
Yeah, it's an eye opener if you haven't read this account about how there are meme networks, right, of Instagram accounts where there are managers who manage many. Not just dozens, but hundreds of people who are out there on Instagram making money out of getting memes that are picked up and passed along. I mean, I don't follow a lot of these, but I follow a few of them, like We Rate Dogs. Sarah tipped me off to that a year ago.
Wonderful account.
Yeah. And that's probably the least example of these sorts of things. So yeah, there's a whole world out there of people making money off things that you probably don't think are that useful, unless you're already one of the people who's sharing them, and then you think they're great.
Well, so there's an account called Daquan. You guys may follow, maybe not, but very popular meme account on Instagram. And it's run by an agency. And now I'm like, oh, that's why Daquan is always cross-promoting these other rando accounts that I either look at or don't look at. It's like, it's a company. It's a company like anything else. It's not just that guy that I thought was some
and there's a lot of money in it. I mean, look at brands like the Chive and stuff like that were basically born on this idea, and Instagram's the perfect discovery platform for it.
Yeah, if you're like, how did those Vine people get popular? I mean, this is the same thing. It just never ended, and so it didn't. You became less aware, I think, because it wasn't like all the Vine people have moved to YouTube, and you sort of heard stories about that. Instagram people are just still on Instagram, killing it.
The 6 seconds that lasted a lifetime.
Yes.
Well, if you like memes and you want to let us know what memes you like the most, or just any kind of news in general, you know where you should go? You should go to our subreddit, submit stories, and vote on other stories that are submitted by your peers at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. It's a lot of fun over there. Thanks for being lively in our subreddit, everybody. You help us make a great show, and you help us with headlines as well, which I'll be doing tomorrow morning, so see you there. Facebook.com/group/dailytechnewsshow is where you can hang out with us on Facebook as well. All right, let's move on to the thing of the day. And we got Chris Christensen with great news on travel times, but also some less great news.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. If you like air travel, but you don't like how long the flights get for international flights, there's some good news recently when Boeing announced they're working on a new hypersonic passenger jet that would go 2.5 times the speed of the old Concorde. It would go up to Mach 5. It would also fly 30,000 feet higher than the Concorde flew. You could get from San Francisco to Tokyo in 3 hours. That's the good news. The bad news is they think it'll take about 20 to 30 years to develop. I'm Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
That's exactly the reaction, right? Tokyo in 3 hours. In 30 years.
I'll be dead.
Yeah.
No, that's we're getting there, right? That's cool.
It's also funny though to think where that tech will be when you've also seen the rise of, now that reusable rockets are a reality, that being the new way to get from point A to point B, and at that timeline, I'd be curious to see which is further along.
All right, let's see what's in the mailbag, Sarah.
Got a lot of good mailbag options today, but I had to go with Dave's. David Packard is a CPA in, I think it's Irvine, California. I think it's Orange County, which is not too far from where Tom and Roger and I are. Dave says, thought you might like a picture of my grandson. His name is Cadence, and me, Dave, in our Born Ready shirts.
They're twins.
They are, and they're so cute. Well, he is the most adorable grandson I've ever seen, Dave. So, don't tell all the other grandsons I said that. But for anybody who's listening to the audio version, we'll also post these pics in our blog post because you should really see the cuteness.
Yeah, go to dailytechnewsshow.com. Check them out. Thanks for sharing those, David. And no one ever looked better in a Born Ready DTNS t-shirt than those two, I think.
I know, totally. Yeah. And, a reminder that if you'd like some of those shirts, we have them in our store as well. So
Check
you
them
can,
out. Daily
you
Tech News
can
Show.
do it too. War of the photos.
Show dailytechnewsshow.com/store. Go there.
Justin Robert Young, I don't believe you have a grandson yet, but I'm sure if you do, you guys will look great in your Born Ready t-shirts as well. Besides that, what else have you been doing?
Yeah, no, that's certainly not. I think we're a few steps away. Here's a step that you can take though today, and that is signing up for my free political newsletter. Just go to freepoliticalnewsletter.com and you can sign up for the Politics Daily. All the stories that I'm keeping an eye on. We're gonna have a lot to talk about with the Trump and Putin Helsinki summit.
Is that happening?
And so much more. So head on over there. It's an easy read, man. 5 stories, a few hot takes, and mostly gifts. Sometimes of the Chappelle Show. freepoliticalnewsletter.com.
We have the best audience in the world, and a thanks to all the members who make it possible and join us at patreon.com/DTNS. It's just one of the ways you can support the show and a way to support it directly. In fact, Creative Vast Arts has been taking it upon himself. He's not only a patron, a highly active member of our Slack. He created the DTNS Labs art, but he has been going in and hand editing Good Day Internet with the YouTube video. So if you are a person who wants to hear the whole Good Day Internet pre and post show, but also view the video parts that happen during the live stream, he's making that possible. You'll have to look for his posts. He's doing it himself. It's not a supported option or anything, but we love that he's doing it. So just look in the comments section for each Good Day Internet post at patreon.com/DTNS, and you can actually find the link when he puts it in there. And it's all a volunteer effort. And we have so many things like that. So we can't say enough awesome things about you, the folks in the audience. Thank you for listening and supporting the show for almost 5 years now. We thank you so much.
We sure do. We also want your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. Questions, comments, all that good stuff. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com is where you can send a little note to the team. We're also live Monday through Friday. If you can join us, we'd love to have you. 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
We will be back tomorrow with a man who has been in Helsinki during a summit and is French, the World Cup champion, Patrick Beja. He'll join us tomorrow.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Patrick Beja is at the heart of all world events lately.
I mean, he's the most interesting man alive.
He must be.
He is. And he was born ready.
Source of the t-shirt. He may be...
Oh, dear.
the linchpin to human society.
You know how we talk about, well, Roger and I at least talk about how we're always getting emails intended for someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Someone just sent me all their kids' camp photos. You know, and these are the ones where I always write back and I'm like, this is not the Sarah Lane you're looking for. Mm-hmm. I want them to get photos, but also for privacy reasons, like I'll delete this, but you know, just look at those emails a little bit closer. They're very cute though. Okay, I'm gonna stop looking at them.
No, I get those too, where somebody sends me like, here's the estimate on your car. And I'm like, not my car.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just like, it's whatever, you know. Yeah, like here's your receipt for this thing you bought and, you know, I don't know, wherever that I was like, never been there. But I don't want Aunt Sarah to not get the camp photos.
Of course.
Sarah Lane got by accident.
Thankfully, it's to you, and we know you're trustworthy.
Yeah.
But imagine like somebody sending their camp photos of their kids to who knows who.
Well, yeah, and you know, sometimes in email signatures, there's phone numbers involved. You know, you can there's information there that you just I worry. I worry for the children.
For the Sarah Lanes of the world and their grandchildren.
For all of the Sarah Lanes of the world, and there are many.
When are we going to move on to unique identifiers being required? Like you can't have a name like domain names, right? Like you can't have a name that someone else has already taken.
Well,
Is that ever going to become a thing?
It would certainly make naming children interesting.
Well, sorry, I spilled more water.
So for example, if Roger, you wanted your future child to be Sarah Chang. Well, there's probably a Sarah Chang out there, and
yes, we already looked.
You're just gonna have to find a different name because Sarah Chang already exists.
So many. There's so many. Some of them are less.
What we're saying is, when will we get to the point where it's going to be required
to just have a unique name? Yeah, a name that does not exist in the world.
Isn't that why
almost impossible, isn't it?
Isn't that why we have middle names? Wasn't that the whole reason?
No, people can have the same middle name. There's no requirement that you can't.
No, but the idea of the middle name was to kind of carry over.
But that's also like the cheat if you don't want to make someone like a junior,
mm-hmm.
a different middle name, but you both have the same first name, which I think is cheating, and I would like to put a stop to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize this was a hot button issue for you.
I think it just come on. Either just put the junior on them, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth, right? Or don't name them the first name. Like, well, what is this hole in the sheet nonsense?
Well, I think, and what ends up happening often is that, so if there's a John Michael Sr., right, and then there's a John Matthew, then the younger kid goes by the middle name because it's just too confusing otherwise.
Yeah.
You're not actually a junior. You just have the same name as your dad.
Or it's like, and this one I don't know. I'm on the fence on, but there's also the like, all right, everybody gets the family names and then you just wind up becoming the nickname. Like you're just given a nickname at some point during your life. And that's what your family, everybody knows you as Scooter or something. Like
Scooter.
I wish I was named Scooter. Can I change my name? Is that too late for that? Scooter Lane.
Great.
Scooter Lane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
you're
right?
a baseball player or something with that name.
Yeah. Or just really fast. I'm on the Scooter Lane.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little too tech with all those bird scooters outside my house right now.
Oh man.
Missed my window. Too bad.
Oakland introduced rules, or they're going under advisement. So now beautiful scooter rich life might be fleeting.
Don't believe the Skype.
Yep.
The Skype train.
Well,
Don't believe the Skype.
But like, what do you mean? Why aren't we believing the new features?
No, that's just the title for the show.
I know, but it seems like it's like something bad happened.
No, because and that's what Justin was saying is like the hype is that that the new Skype is good, but everyone's pointing out things that are wrong with it.
Okay, all right, fine. That's what you guys want to do. Just be all sensational.
I'm open to others, but
you know what?
I'm kidding. I just wanted to make sure it didn't sound like.
Yeah. No, there's a reality behind it. I think that's a good question.
To go back to the whole children's name thing, you could start using names from other cultures, which aren't necessarily like.
But then, what if they're so like? The point isn't how do you come up with a unique name. My question is, when will it become the rule? Like, we just can't allow people to have the same name anymore. There'll be a registry, and you can only have an official name if it's unique.
I just don't know how in practice you would do that with all of the billions of people and growing.
Cloud services.
But
blockchain.
Okay, the back end we figured out, Tom. But what?
Bitcoin.
What do I name my child?
Yeah. I don't know.
You would name him like you can name him like Derek, like the AOL. Like it would be like Derek 281.
Yeah, there could, I mean, this is why I'm asking.
This is a great idea.
Not saying, but at some point it becomes like, it's just not practical for people to have official names that are the same. It causes too much confusion. We'll have an international registry where you can get your certified name that is not belong to anybody else. Of course, identity and spying and surveillance, that all privacy becomes a huge issue, which is why this will never happen. But I'm just curious if I'm wrong about it never happening. If there becomes a point where they're like, no, everybody shouldn't have, you shouldn't be able to have. There are just as many problems with having two people with the same name. I don't know.
Maybe Black Mirror can tackle this and let us know how it unfolds in a really awful way.
It'll be Black Mirror's one positive episode because everyone expects it to be bad. So the twist will be that it turns out great.
What if it was more like LastPass or something where it just generates a random combination of nouns, puts them together,
and you just phonetically do your best?
So no, it could be like, for example, like I've been playing this game, Metal Gear Solid. Fan of
what is it again?
Metal Gear. But anyways, the name for all the characters are all like some variation of animal. So it could be like itching aardvark or testy walrus or something, and they could just be you could be prancing unicorn.
Yeah, but again,
like horse battery staple could be.
It's like any internet handle. Like they'll all get used up really quickly, and then you have to go to numbers.
I don't know. I'm surprised how many domain names are available still that make perfect sense. Like when Daily Tech News Show was available.
I mean, also, my new obsession is buying longer, like sentencey, phrasey kind of domain names, and they are all open. Like,
and that goes along with what Roger's saying.
Like, what if your name was "That's the way it was," and that's what people would call you? That's the way it was as standard. Like, it's the whole like who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third.
By the way,
phrase names. I like it. Forget the first and middle.
Well, it's because there's a lot of cultures where your name is actually not a phrase, but it's an allusion to
means a concept rather than
my name in Chinese means like one you have great expectations of or from.
Well, but I mean, I think a lot of I don't know. I mean, my name means Hebrew princess. I mean, you never say that, but that's what it means.
Oh, and Tinvec points out there's those 3 meter by 3 meter plots of the world that all have a unique name. It's an effort to create a more useful location specific way of locating things and addressing points of the globe. You only need 3 words to make that give us enough spaces for every 3 by 3 meter point on the globe. So it might be practical to just be like, yeah, I'm horse staple battery. Well, I'm horse battery staple.
Horse staple battery.
I'm battery staple horse.
Like,
don't get it twisted.
That's my name too.
I'm coaster boat
blushing prune candy.
But yeah, the URL of the sentence. I went through this recently because I'm launching a new podcast called "Have Such a Good Day," and we didn't. This isn't even something we thought about that hard. We were like, something like "Have a nice day," but just a little different. So we were like, what about something like "Have such a good day," And we typed it in. It's like, yep, that's available. And so that was the end of it. And so it was .net, and so it was .org, and all the others. And I hadn't bought a domain in a while, so I was like, oh, I really thought that would be taken. No one's thought of this yet.
I don't think I'm going to use it, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. But I just bought the domain itmusthhavehappened.com.
Ooh,
Same sort of
good
thing.
One.
Like, yeah, I'm like, really? That's available? That's great.
Yeah. That seems like a great conspiracy theory website.
Oh, it must have happened.
It must have happened.
Boneless fish. It's a conspiracy.
They're genetically modified to make it easier to eat.
Yeah, no, that's the whole
outrage.
That's the whole thing. The whole thing. They don't have bones because processors want to be able to cut them up without having to deal with all this waste. And
would people be angry about that if that were true because the fish should have the bones that they were meant to have?
Well, no, I guess
if you're going to eat the fish, you don't really want bones.
No. And I think it might just be considered unnatural or
going too far in the name of science.
Or man, once again, meddling with things he doesn't understand, or humankind.
Yeah. Cloning sheep, taking fish bones out.
If you took the bones out of sheep and cloned them, you call them
fish had sheep bones.
Some sturdy ass fish.
This is my fish head sheep bones.
Well, there's your kid's name. Fish head sheepboat.
No, that's your kid's name, Roger. You're the one having one. We've done it.
Woohoo!
I think that you need to give a Scooter nickname a run though, Lane.
Scooter Lane?
Scooter Lane.
Well, how about why don't we like soft? Why don't we
soft launch?
Not soft launch, but we'll stress test it, right? With the DTNS and GDI community. Everyone can just kind of, I'll kind of refer to myself as Scooter. You can call me Scooter. I will respond.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it sticks.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm in. I feel like this has legs.
Good stuff.
Well,
that's fun. Yeah,
I'll tell you. You want to know what? Great call, Scooter.
Wait a minute. It's because of Scooter Libby, isn't it?
It's not.
It's definitely not.
No, you might have ruined it.
I was avoiding that just to make sure we didn't torpedo this in its infancy.
I prefer to think that I got the nickname because of Scooter the Muppet, which I feel like that I have a lot more in common with Scooter the Muppet than Scooter Libby.
Yeah, I like it's
Scooter Jackson.
It's fun.
Gannett.
Fresh.
Yeah. You can kind of call me Scoots.
Scoots.
Hey, Scoots. Yeah. Peace out, Scoots. Have a great weekend.
They call her Scoots.
I'm so excited.
They
for a long time I thought, well, when I get married, what's because I get to have a whole new name, if I choose. I don't have to, but I always liked the idea. And now I'm sort of like, even if I did, and now it's like, I'm not getting rid of Lane. But Sarah, I'm totally down to get rid of.
You're down to swap out Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I've always, and this was the conversation I had with Ashley, that like I think that you should take the name if it's an upgrade on the last name. Like if
an upgrade meaning easier to spell, or just like
easier to say, more memorable, like something like that.
Yeah.
Like, or it's like you're marrying into like the Rockefellers or something. Then it's like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That name. It's a good name. That's a valuable name, right? But if Ashley Paramore, that's a great name specifically for a girl with like a public persona. Like that's a great.
It's a really good name.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, no need to change. Although Ashley Young, I'd be all right, but
Ashley Paramore is more memorable.
It is, yeah. It kind of rolls off.
Yeah.
I should change my name to Rivera.
You really should.
Thomas Rivera or Tom Rivera.
Yeah. But think of all the puns that would go silent.
Yeah, right. No, I know. A show without Rivera just
no. Yeah,
we're gonna go vacation in the Rivera.
But when we stay at a hotel like we did this weekend and it's registered under Eileen's name, we always get the "Here you go, Mr. Rivera."
Yeah.
Oh yes, no problem, Mr. Rivera. And I always get a kick out of that. Like, yep, that's me. I'm totally.
Certainly makes you more worldly. Like,
yeah,
it's exciting. I think you should think about it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to change Ace Detect because that doesn't have anything to do with Tom Merritt anyway.
Hey, by the way, how did you get the name Ace Detect?
bit.ly/ace detect for people watching the video. There's a video that has me explain it. Thanks everybody for watching. Audio listeners, stick around for more.